Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 64. Andrew Eisen here, along with Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, Andrew. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone in the chat, which currently is Cybergene, I think.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get a few more people.
Get a few more, but it's a 3-day weekend. People are off enjoying Yakuza Kiwami, which is exactly what I'm doing. It's
nice.
It's paused right there. And I'm actually making a video about Yakuza Kiwami. If you saw the little public service announcement I made on Twitter and Facebook the other day, that's what I'm making a video about.
Okay.
Basically, there's a uber special super punchy punch move that you can do to stop boss enemies from regenerating health. And the game tutorializes you and says, you need to be in heat mode, you need to use the right fighting style, and then you just walk up to them and press the triangle button when prompted. And you're like, okay, sounds great. So you start playing the game, and the prompt won't pop up. And you're like, well, wait a minute, I have to be in heat mode. Okay, I'm in heat mode. I have to have the right fighting style that matches the color of the enemy's aura. Okay, right. There's no prompt. I can't perform the move. What the hell? What the game fails to inform you is that finishing move, it's an upgrade. You have to unlock it in the abilities menu, which is kind of weird when a tutorial says, you can do this. Try it now. And you try it and you do it. And you're like, oh, this is something I can do. And the game's like, well, actually, no, you can't. We're taking that away from you until you unlock it, but we're not going to tell you we did that. It's like, and what's weird is it's not even there. It's not mentioned in the. There's a notebook, an in-game notebook in the menu, which chronicles all of the game system from how to save to what the heat bar does. To, it's not in there. Discusses everything in the game, not that. Hello, Codename Z. So weird. So I put on Twitter. I said, by the way, if anyone's can't get that move, you know, where bosses are regenerating health, that move you're supposed to be able to do, you have to unlock it. It's in the abilities menu. So I'm making a video about that.
Nice.
And it's hard because I don't want to make a video. I want to play the game. And I actually restarted the game to get the proper footage for that. So I wasted an evening of. Luckily, you can skip all the cutscenes. Otherwise, it would have taken me a lot longer. But so there's that. Let's see. Hey, Seekined. I have no idea if I pronounced that right, but glad you're here. What else? What else? Oh, I made a video yesterday thanking all my viewers for viewing my stuff. And what I found funny is last weekend I made a Star Wars video about Star Wars, and it's a complete failure even by my standards. Like 5 days or 4 or 5 days later, it has barely over 100 views. I can actually see how many it has. It has 116 views in 4 days. I have 11,000 subscribers. About 100 people watched a video with Star Wars in the title. My thank you video, on the other hand, had over 100 views in less than an hour.
Nice.
So, one of those things. And I'm like, oh, shocking. Okay, all right. Thank you, is how you pronounce your name. It's just kind of weird sometimes what attracts clicks and what does not, Yeah. I figured that I'm always proud of my work anyway, but I figured that something with Star Wars was kind of guaranteed to get a few extra eyeballs because it's Star Wars. Nope. Nobody cares. Which is a shame because I think the video is actually really fun, and my sister really liked it. She told me so. But that's okay. So there's some videos on my YouTube channel if you want to watch them.
Awesome. I'm pretty sure I watched the Star Wars one.
Well, it's pretty much what we had talked about on the podcast the week before about Nintendo. Everything is Nintendo for me. Disney kind of relying on established characters for their upcoming a Star Wars story, side story, spin-off movies.
Yeah.
And this video is just, just here are some suggestions that are at least more interesting than a Han Solo movie, a Obi-Wan movie, a Yoda movie. So that's what that video is about. Okay. Also saw a video about, the Friday the 13th video game that came out several months ago. They're releasing a DLC pack, which basically gives all the camp counselors swimsuits to run around in. It's called the Summer of '84 swimsuit pack or something like that, which is fun. The only problem I have is Jason doesn't get a swimsuit. Jason could totally get a swimsuit. That would be amazing.
That would be funny.
You have I linked it on my Twitter. The trailer's on my Twitter if you want to see it. You have all the camp counselors showing off their bikinis and their swimmy shorts, and the one jock guy struts out in a yellow tiger striped Speedo and starts starts posing and stuff like that, and then he gets a spear through the face, and the camera pans to Jason, who's standing over there wearing his regular pants and a shirt. I'm like, aww. How awesome would it be if it panned over to his in Bermuda trunks or something like that? It'd be great.
That would have been funny, yeah. I think
there's an opportunity there.
Yeah, as much fun as that would be, I think it probably would have ruined the mood of the game, the feel of the game. Kind of like in Harry Potter, when they're learning that ridiculous spell that changes the form of your worst fear into something funny, and something like that. It makes the game less scary to see Jason in shorts.
Yeah, but it's fun. I mean, it's a fun DLC pack. It's supposed to be fun. Hello, Nate. I mean, I'm not like, boycott. No, it just feels like a missed opportunity. I mean, it could be a licensing issue. New Line or Paramount, who the hell owns Jason?
I have no idea.
It could be like a condition of the licensing deal. You can't put Jason in a swimsuit. You can't alter his image from anything other than what's been portrayed in the films. That could be the condition of the license. Who knows? Maybe. But it just made me sad because I want Jason in a swimsuit. So
that would be fun. Yeah.
Yep. Because games are about fun. Come on.
Yeah, of course.
So how's your week been?
My week has been all right. I had so far as I'm aware, my 4 Patreons are fine with the change. Nobody has discontinued their pledge, and nobody said anything about it. Other than I had one guy. He said, "Oh, that sounds cool." He was fine with it, and he even bumped his pledge up from $2 to $5. So that was really cool. And so I've got the long weekend, and I plan on working on my first game this weekend a little bit, and I want to get it done next week if I can, and so that way, I get a good feel for what I can do in a week or a weekend or whatever, and go on from there. And so that was cool. That was good. I'm glad that's being well received. Other than that, I've been playing Stardew Valley, and I finished my second year, and now I'm in my third year. I'm in the middle of summer of the third year, and I have got all of the eligible bachelors and bachelorettes up to 10 hearts, which is marriageable relationship status. And I got to watch I got to watch 7 of 10 heart events in a single day. It was kind of crazy. Yeah. Well, it's like I got everybody up to 8 hearts, and I was just like, ooh, let's see if I can get everybody up to 10 hearts in the same day and see what happens. And I managed to get all but 2 of them up to 10 hearts that day, or 3, I think. And so I had to get the other 3 up to 10 hearts the next day. But yeah, so I went through everybody's heart events over a course of 2 days, and there was one character I accidentally screwed up her heart event, but she was like one of the last ones I was doing that day, and I didn't want to start the day over, so I said, oh well. Because there's like a character, her name is Haley, and she starts off as a little stuck up city girl type character, and she was so annoying. And then over the course of getting to know her, she really gets into photography and things. And so her 10 heart event is she invites you into her dark room, and shows it off and everything, and talks with you, and then you get an option for what to do with the rest of the event. And so one is offer to help decorate, and then there was something else, I forget what the second option was, and then the third one was to move in for a kiss. And I don't know why, but I picked to offer to help decorate the dark room, and when you're supposed to move in for the kiss. And so it was and then once she gets all disappointed when you say anything other than move in for a kiss. And so I was like, no, I don't want to start this day over again. So I said, oh well, I'm not marrying her anyways, because I found her super annoying. I haven't decided who I'm going to marry in the game yet, and there's a couple of characters that I know I don't want to marry. Haley being one. Alex, he's the jock character. He's another annoying character. And then there's another one who's a recovering alcoholic, and I'm not really feeling into that one. And so I gotta figure out who that lucky person will be.
You have to be careful with getting all the eligible people's hearts up to 10, because then the game turns into Galgun, and you have to fend off a horde of over amorous suitors. Speaking of which, I really want to play Galgun, but I don't $40 want to play it,
Oh, are you talking, Nate? Is that a rebel flag behind him? Are you talking about me? This is the Union Jack. This is the flag of Great Britain. This one is the flag. This is the Welsh flag, and then this one is the English flag. So this is for the entire United Kingdom: Scotland, England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. And yeah, that's right, all 4 of them. But yeah, I spent time in England and Wales, and so I picked up the flags while I was there, and would love to head over to Scotland and Northern Ireland and Ireland and get those flags too. But
plane ride, man.
Yeah, that's one of those things. It's like I want to go to these places, but I don't have the money, don't have the time, and
Nate's right. The dragon flag is cool. I live in California. We've got a brown bear on our flag, which is kind of cool, but not quite dragon cool.
Yeah, see, funny. I don't know how true the story is, but the story is that that when the flag was commissioned, it was supposed to be a pear on the flag, but somebody
like the fruit.
But the fruit, and then they got misheard and put a bear on it, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool. Let's do it. Let's keep it."
That's cooler than a pear. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to tell a fun story that happened last night. So what was I do? I think I was in the middle. Oh, I was in the middle of my thank you video, the important message to my YouTube viewers video. I was in the middle of I was working on that last night at about 6:30 local California time when the power went out. It just, I'm like, well, poop. I guess I'll call my mom since the phone is the only thing I can use right now.
Yeah.
So I talked to my mom for about an hour. And at that point, it was dark. And I'm thinking, well, I don't want to cook in the dark. Because I was expecting, usually, unless there's some, like an earthquake or some major natural disaster like an earthquake or something like that, the power doesn't go out for much longer than, it's usually out for a couple of minutes and it's back on, just blurs out. Apparently, it's probably a backhoe digging up a power cable because it was out for a few hours. But I didn't want to cook in the dark, and we're having a bit of a heat wave here in California, so it's been really hot.
Yeah.
I didn't want to stay here, so I said, all right, well, can't work on my video, can't do anything in the dark. Guess I'll go out to eat. So I go out and take myself out to sushi on a Friday night. It was an hour wait to actually sit down and eat. So I call my sister. I'm like, I hope you're awake because I'm bored. And as I'm talking to my sister, this prop plane flies right overhead. And there's an airport on the other side of the freeway, which is right near the sushi joint. So it wasn't that surprising, except it was like 8:20 at night. Like, what are you guys doing? And then it came by again. I'm like, is that the same plane? And 8 planes go by. I'm like, what the hell? And I watch it, and it's 2 planes just flying in big circles, just chasing each other. And then they finally go away, and a huge line of motorcycles goes down the road. I'm like, and I go in to see how long it's going to take for me to get my table. And said, we've been calling you. I said, well, I didn't hear you. Maybe it's because of all the planes and motorcycles and stuff. So,
Nice.
but when I got back home, the power was back on, and I could record my video. And I actually had the game on too, but I hadn't started playing it. I had already captured all the footage and was transferring it from my PS4 to my YouTube account so that I can then download it to my PC and load it into an editor and edit it, which is a big roundabout way of doing it. But I don't have a large enough thumb drive to actually pull the video files off of the PS4, so I had to kind of do a roundabout way.
Yeah.
But long, surprisingly long power outage last night. And what was funny is it must have been like a very local transformer or something, because it was just my 3 buildings. I'm in the N building. It was my building, the M building, and the L building. All the buildings across the street were on. All the street lights and traffic lights were on. If you look out my bedroom or bathroom window, that's all residential houses. Those lights were on. So it must have just been some electrical transformer that governs this piece of the block.
Yeah.
Because it was just us.
Yeah.
So, weird thing. But gave me an excuse to go out for sushi, so hey.
Yeah. Codename Z says Ireland is not part of the UK, only Northern Ireland. And yeah, I knew that, and if I said it wrong earlier, then yeah, you're right. And yeah, Ireland is its own country, and Northern Ireland, which is like a quarter to a third of the Irish island, is actually part of the UK. And yeah, they hate each other. The Northern Irish and the regular Irish, they hate each other, mostly because Irish are Catholics and Northern Ireland's are Church of England. Yeah, so they're traitors.
You see, in my simplistic worldview, you need to put aside your differences and bond over something that you can mutually agree upon, like video games or beer or something. Anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So our first topic tonight is eSports at the Olympics. And I found this kind of an interesting story. As let me pull up the right thing. According to the South China Morning Post, the Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach had a few choice words about the idea of video games at the Olympics. And there are a lot of quotes, but the one that sticks out for us, of course, is he says, "We want to promote non-discrimination, non-violence, and peace among people. This doesn't match with video games, which are about violence, explosions, and killing. And there we have to draw a clear line. This gentleman obviously has a very old view of video games. Video games are just horribly violent things. He actually does talk a little bit about sports video games, and those would be fine. Then again, why would you want video sports at the events that you're actually doing at the Olympics? And it is kind of weird to complain about the violence in video games when you have violent Olympic events like boxing, a sport in which two people literally punch each other bloody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, to be fair, most Olympic sports are not violent.
Yeah, there's only a couple.
Fencing, wrestling. There's a couple types of wrestling. There's judo, I think, is one.
Oh yeah. And generally, those Olympic boxing, I think, has a different set of rules than boxing, like that the actual boxing sport that you would watch on television. I think there's some different rules, and it's more point based than KO based. But yeah, this is to me this is a weird story because they've been talking up trying to get eSports into the Olympics, and from what I understood, there was plans to get it into like the 2022 or the 2024 Olympics, and it says the multi-billion
at the Olympic Games.
Yeah, it says the multi-billion-dollar video game industry has already succeeded in gaining inclusion in the 2022 Asian Games. Okay, so that's a different thing. But so 2024 is when the first Olympics that they were considering including esports, his concern is annoying. It's very backwards and old. It's basically he's an old guy, and this is the old guy view of video games.
It's okay, we won't have Mortal Kombat and Manhunt or Grand Theft Auto, but most of the esports type games that seem to be the ones they're looking at for Olympic inclusions are things like League of Legends or Rocket League, games which, while competition heavy, are not particularly bloodily violent. You know, it's the kind of statement that just shows. It sounds like he's not aware that video games are more than just shooting people and make them explode into bloody giblets, you know?
Yeah. And that's a problem. And with part of it is a problem with the video game industry. One, the video game industry doesn't really promote promote itself to these things outside of the AAA arena. And that's where you see a good, that's where all the competitive scene is in first-person shooters and fighting games. You go to video game tournaments, it's almost all first-person shooters, all fighting games like I don't see Mortal Kombat in tournaments very often.
No, but you do see Street Fighter
and
Smash Brothers, Soul Calibur, sure.
Yeah, so there's a lot of games, and it's all fighting based. But we do have a lot of games that are less
Splatoon
like that. Yeah, Splatoon is one that is really cool, and it's highly competitive, and it's not violent. Unless you consider spraying someone with paint and sending them back to start as violence. But yeah, so we've got he's very backwards in that, and then some of the other things that really bug me about this is that one of his other quotes is that if talking about things that are of interest, he says if ever somebody is competing at playing football virtually or playing other sports virtually, this is of high interest. And I'm reading this, and I think there was another quote that, he's just that quote in general just really rankles me, because it's like he's talking about playing virtual sports, virtual uh, virtual copies of real Olympic sports, real sports, and things, and I look at that quote and I'm like, why would somebody want to watch people play a video game of, I don't know, let's see, the shot put, playing, a video game shot put? Why would anybody want to watch that when they could just watch real people shot putting?
Yeah.
Or why would you want to watch a bunch of video gamers playing FIFA when they could just be watching the Olympic soccer matches? That's just, it doesn't make sense to me why he would consider that. We had, who was that earlier that said, about having a 13U cube. It's like, yeah, let's just have esports be Mario and Sonic at the Olympics games.
Mario and Sonic at the Olympics.
Yeah,
On the other
exactly.
hand, if you bring out the power pad and make them play track and field, I will watch that.
Oh yeah, see, that would be
Get a bunch
fun.
of Olympic sprinters going, doing that would be hilarious.
Other suggestions that I've seen people throw around is like, what about Dance Dance Revolution, or
that would be amazing. Or Tetris. I mean, have you ever seen some of the top people play like Tetris, the Grandmaster Edition?
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah, but another thing would be like a speed running event where you're given a video game and you compete with other players to speed run it, and whoever gets the fastest time. And then you could do rules like it has to be no glitches, no cheats, no tools, that sort of thing. And so it's just a pure normal speed run. You could take something like the original Mario Brothers or Super Mario Brothers 3 and let people speed run that. And you can do that because we've got those on modern consoles. So you've got it on the Wii U, eventually on the Switch probably. So it's not, the hardware is not going to be an issue. But yeah, one of his other concerns that he brought up too is that says talking about doping, it says that these discussions are going on. It will still take some time because this industry is now shaping itself. The industry, talking about esports industry, and it's a successful industry, but it's not really established in an organizational way. And he continues on, you have to have somebody who is guaranteeing you that these athletes are doing video sports games are not doped, and that they are following technical rules and respecting each other. So one of his
3 cans of Red Bull.
Yeah, it's like, and I don't know how big of an issue esports. Yeah, I don't know how big of an issue doping is in esports. Caffeine, I don't think, is generally considered
it's a stimulant, but yeah.
But I could see maybe something like Adderall or something along those lines, could be an issue. But that shouldn't be that hard to track. And but I don't think that the esports industry is all that unorganized as he tries to make it sound like, because we have some very successful esports leagues, and also game companies are
I agree, it's
taking
a
on that
fair
role.
point in and of itself, but I agree that he's selling the industry as it is short.
Mm-hmm.
I just genuinely get the sense that the guy's really not particularly familiar with video games at all and doesn't really know what he's talking about.
Yeah, it's something that, to me, it sounds like it's something that he, as the president, has to talk about, but he just does not know anything about it. It's like it's a more of a board decision, and he's just throwing out his opinion, and it's probably not the opinion of the majority of the board. But I don't know who all's on the IOC board, so I couldn't tell you if they might have similar feelings. Counter-Strike. I don't know. Maybe as a team sport, something like Counter-Strike or Overwatch. I could see that.
I mean, you think they'd want to go. I mean, they're trying to get eyeballs. I don't know how many. I mean, there's still a great community around Counter-Strike, so far as I know, but it's not the new hotness, so to speak. I agree. You'd probably want to go Rocket League, Overwatch, even. Yeah, Team Fortress 2, I guess, is a bit passé now at this point. But
yeah. Well, I think the thing with the Olympics though is that they generally like established things, and they want it to be similar enough over the course of several years, several decades. With the thing with analog sports, with real life sports, is that they don't change generally over time. You don't have issues with technology changing and people's interest waning. People who like to watch the racing, track race, the 100-yard dash, the mile run, whatever. People who like to watch that, they know that they can look forward. They know who to watch and who to root for because they know how it works. But with video games, what is the hot eSports game today probably won't be the same thing as it is in 2024. We're going to have a totally different thing. And if they're basing the 2024 Olympics inclusion off of what games are available today, they might be disappointed when nobody watches it because everybody else is too busy watching, Overwatch 3 or something.
That's true. If you watch the summer or winter games, it's the same set of sports every single time.
Yeah.
But if you had video games in there, year by year, there'd be different. There would almost certainly be different video games swapping in and out. You'd never know what video games you'd see, and that's both an advantage and a disadvantage, I think. I think what are we going to see is something exciting, but also I love League of Legends. Oh, it's not this year? You run into that unless you... So it's an interesting consideration, and I probably still wouldn't watch the Olympics even if it did have video games in it, but maybe if something particularly interesting happens, I'll see a highlight of it on YouTube or whatever. But although I do find the Olympics more interesting than, say, the Oscars, which I haven't watched in over 15 years.
I don't think I've ever watched the Oscars or the Emmys or Grammys or whatever else, other award shows. They just have no interest to me. Specifically the ones with, revolving around movies, because all the movies that win Oscars or whatever, they're never movies that I care about. So it's like, I don't care.
Do you think the My Little Pony movie is going to be nominated for an Oscar next year? Probably not, no matter how deserving it may be.
Yeah. The animation, the animation award segment is always so annoying because they'll throw in something that was very popular with the public, but then they'll give the award to some obscure foreign animation film, or
they feel like they need to meet a quota, and they keep throwing in movies like, and nominated for Best Animated Feature, The Nut Job 2. It's like, oh, come on. Just because it came out this year doesn't mean you have to nominate it, okay?
Yeah. But the Olympics, I don't watch the Olympics very much. I'm actually what my suggestion for a game to include in the Olympics, and this was just something that I thought of and I thought it was hilarious, was for somebody to make a video game in which the goal is, as players, your goal is to compete on a bid for a multi-billion-dollar international corporation to come and build or come and host to host your their sports in your city. And and you do so by driving your city into debt and despair and ruin in order to win this bid. And then afterwards, I thought about it might be more fun if the goal is to the winner is actually the people who don't get the bid. But yeah, just throwing some shade at the Olympics themselves, because they like to force cities to go billions and dollars in debt in order to host these games. To the point where only 2 people bid for the 2024 and 2028 Olympics, and so they just gave both of those cities they gave one city the first one and then the other city the other one.
See, I mean, how much the Olympics means to me is literally the only specific thing I can think of from the Olympics in recent history is the one girl who made a disappointed face and became a meme. I think she's got an M in her name somewhere. I remember that meme. I don't remember anything else. And if that's the only thing you can remember from the Olympics is someone making a face, then it's probably not up your alley.
The only fond memory I have of the Olympics is Cool Runnings.
Oh, sure, the movie.
Yeah, fun movie. I liked it. It was a good movie, and but yeah, other than that, it's like the Olympics. What are those? But,
yeah. Michaela Maroney, that's her name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I actually there are some things that I like. I like seeing the technical stuff. Most of the gymnastics stuff, like just the gymnastics stuff and some of the ice skating is cool. But it's like I can watch it for a couple of minutes and go, man, that's amazing. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm 5 to 10 minutes of watching Olympics or figure skating or something. I'm like, okay, I've seen all I need to see. I'm good.
Yeah.
Codename Z says, in my teen years, I watched the Olympic for the female gymnastics for reasons. I was actually in gymnastics when I was a kid. And I was in gymnastics for about a month because it was super expensive and we couldn't afford it. Which is a shame because I really liked gymnastics.
Yeah.
But I'm actually, especially for a guy, very flexible and I have great balance. And I was fairly adept at gymnastics, but it was just ridiculously expensive. So.
Yeah, it can be. We put our kids into dance classes. A couple of our kids into dance classes, and those got pretty pricey. And I can just imagine how much more pricey gymnastics would be.
All right, so moving on. Let's talk about GameStop and forced console bundles. Fun.
Woohoo!
Yes. So there's been a lot of talk about this. We've talked about it here on the show because with hard to find and high desirable items like the Switch and the Super NES Classic Edition and the NES Classic Edition when that was available, you'd see them popping up on GameStop or ThinkGeek, but you could only buy them in a bundle with a bunch of other crap that you may not actually want, especially the ThinkGeek bundles. The ThinkGeek bundles always come with like statues and puzzles and like crap they grabbed off the shelf that's just not selling. The bundles in GameStop are usually bundled with other games and chargers and extra controllers and things like that, but you may not want those games. You may be a single-player gamer and not want an extra controller. And gamers are very upset because these are hard-to-find items and they don't want to be forced to pay more than $300 or whatever the cost of the item is just to get the one item. GameStop doesn't see it that way. And in an interview with Rolling Stone, said, we really try to do a great job of pairing up items with things customers like to buy. In the case of the Switch, we know the customer is going to want to charge the Joy-Con controllers, which you can already do with the stuff that comes out of the box. So we often throw in a charging device. We know the Switch has limited memory and customers like to download games, so we'll add a memory stick. It has memory. And then you'll need a game itself, because what good is a piece of hardware without a game to play in it? What if that's not the game I want? We make it more convenient. You see, these bundles are for our benefit. They're convenient.
Yes.
We put some items in the bundle from ThinkGeek.com, retro items that would appeal to those buyers. Customers have the opportunity. You're doing you a favor, folks. Customers have the opportunity to come into our stores and choose the accessories that they would like to bundle with their hardware or buy online, the predetermined bundles we have put together to help make the shopping experience more convenient. Customers have also have the option of coming into our GameStop stores to purchase non-bundled product. Yeah, if it's there and available. So you may have seen me write something along the lines of on Twitter earlier this week. I said, new rule for retailers. Game consoles can be sold in a bundle only while they are in stock and available to purchase separately at the same website or physical location. If I don't want the bundle, I should be able to just buy the item.
Yeah.
If if you can't sell the item by itself, then you don't get the bundle. That is the Andrew rule. Don't break the Andrew rule, GameStop. I am watching you. So this just irks me because it's essentially scalping. It's taking a highly valued item that's very hard to get and taking advantage of that by forcing people to buy more stuff in order to get the one thing they actually want, which is crappy, and why I don't shop at GameStop. And also, remember ThinkGeek a month or two ago just suddenly found 1,000 NES Classic Editions. Oh my gosh, we didn't know they were there. They were in a closet this whole time. Silly us. Let's bundle it with a bunch of crap. It's like, I'm thinking of bad words to call you. So,
yeah.
This is not a fan. Not a fan of these.
Yeah, this isn't a good move at all. And, and like you said, GameStop is essentially scalping at this point. They know that they've got this limited stock, and they know people pay out the wazoo for it, but they can't just say, but because of their retail relationship with Nintendo,
they can't just jack up the price to $500.
Yeah, they can't just jack up the price, because that would violate their agreements. Nintendo would probably fine them, and that would be very bad for them. So what they're doing is they're figuring out ways to get around that and saying, hey, we're not charging extra for the console. People are paying extra to get this stupid Tetris lamp. That's where the other 150 comes from.
Codename says, to be honest, if I see a... Go ahead.
Oh, well, that's how they're getting that in there, yeah.
Yeah, Codename says, if I see a Switch SD card and games bundle, I'd get it if it's cheaper that way. Sure, I mean, there's something to be said that if they're bundling things up and it's an actual deal, but it's usually not. It's normally just the cumulative price of all the individual items in the bundle. A couple of times I've priced out some of those ThinkGeek bundles. They're marked up. I don't know if it was a discount on the website or something, but I was like, $450, and I went and looked up what everything individually costs. I'm like, you marked that up by $80. Shame on you. But I mean, it's like, but there's nothing wrong with, like, we are selling a Switch, but if you a Switch for $300 and a SD card for $50, but if you buy them both, we'll sell it to you for $145. Okay, I mean, that's a fine, convenient option if it's an option. But if it's not an option, then it's not an option, right? If the bundle is the only way you can possibly get the item you want, then it's not convenient. It's not an option. You have no choice.
Yeah, and the thing with including things like, if you're going to include things like games and controllers and all of that stuff, SD cards, you got to make sure that that it's things that the customers are actually going to do. So take for me for instance, if I get a Switch, yeah, I'm going to want an SD card, but I've already got a drawer full of them.
Yeah.
Why would I want to get a new one when I could just pull one of these ones out of an old tablet of mine and stick that in there, format it, and I'm good to go. I don't need to be forced to get another SD card. And as you said with the controllers, you don't. If you're a single player person, you don't need a second controller. The game system already comes with a way to charge the Joy-Cons, and it already comes with the grip.
And
Why
it
would I
already
need
comes
another
with
grip?
kind of two controllers. Each
Yeah.
Joy-Con. You can do a lot of two-player games with one Joy-Con per person. So yeah. Unfortunately, it's not illegal to do that, and GameStop and others are perfectly within their rights to sell these things however the hell they want to. I'm just not. But that's why I don't shop at GameStop.
But the same thing with the games too is that what if I don't want the game that you're bundling with the system?
Yeah, I mean at the very least, say the bundle is a Switch and a game of your choice. You just have to buy a game.
Yeah,
well, I was going to buy a game anyway, fine. But I mean, you run into problems with a game. Maybe they say a game that's $59.99 or more, just to make sure that you're buying a AAA price game or something.
Yeah.
All right, I'll get that in this $5 eShop game. Like, oh, drat.
Yeah, but I think the bigger issue for me is that the Switch one I can deal with because we know the Switch is going to be sold and produced over the course of the next 5 years or so. We're not going to see. Eventually there's going to be a time where the supply actually starts to meet and exceed the demand at that moment. So eventually GameStop's going to stop doing Switch bundles because there's no need to do Switch bundles. The bigger problem is with the stupid NES, the SNES thing, where they are, they have limited stock. It's gonna run out in a month or two. So we're going to, within the course of the next 6 months, and already sold out of pre-orders, which is another big problem. Is that if all of their pre-orders are sold out, and they still have 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 consoles that they're forcing bundles onto, then that means they could have sold those as pre-orders. But no, they're not doing that because they're jerks. But yeah, they're at this point they're just scalping, and it's.
I mean, I can kind of appreciate that GameStop can't exactly say to the public, "Why do we do this?" Because we can make more money doing it that way. On the other hand, there's got to be a better public relations way to deliver this information without treating your customers like they're stupid. Oh no!
I don't think
we're doing you a favor. It's more convenient for you. We know what you want.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a finger to extend in your direction.
Yeah. And that's just the thing too, is that they've got these SNES bundles and the NES bundles. I'm sure the systems themselves are pretty low margin. The SNES is what, $80. So yeah, so they're probably buying those at like $70, $65 or whatever. So they're not making a whole lot of money off of that. But you throw in a Tetris lamp that has a profit margin of like $40. That is pretty tempting for them. And so yeah, they would love to make that extra money by forcing you to buy a high margin tchotchke item that you don't want.
Well, I think what really shoots a hole in GameStop's argument is when the item in question, the item that they're putting in a bundle, is the supply exceeds demand.
Yeah.
So when the supply exceeds demand, they don't bother doing bundles, which is weird because I thought it was just so convenient.
Exactly. Oh,
The SNES is going to be absolute hell to get. I'm going to have to sit outside GameStop for like 3 hours before they open to get it. Good luck.
yeah.
I know a lot of people who just like threw their arms up in the air and said, no, not even gonna bother.
Yeah.
It's not
When,
worth the
when
headache.
the first time
Not doing
when the
this
first
again.
time pre-orders went up and they sold out within minutes, I said, "Yeah, I'm never getting an SNES bundle. I'm not going to wait in line. I don't care. I'll wait 3 years from now and pick it up in a garage sale somewhere." Yeah.
That last comment was shocking, by the way.
Yeah.
Codename says if GameStop bundled the Switch, SanDisk Ultra Card, and Breath of the Wild at a cheaper price, I would get it right away.
Well, yeah, if they knocked like $20 off the total price, that would be fine. That would be a good deal, I guess.
Yeah,
but
if those are all items you're in the market for, but
exactly,
you may already, like you have a bunch of SD cards at home. I have access to a bunch of SD cards that I could get at work. I really shouldn't. I wouldn't do that because I don't own them, but I totally could. Just like I totally could have taken the day off of work when Yakuza Kiwami came out, but I didn't because I'm a good boy. And maybe you have Breath of the Wild on the Wii U. So, bundles are not in and of themselves a bad thing. They actually can be a convenient thing and a cost-effective thing, but only if the bundle itself is one of your options. Not your only option.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things you've got. You go to Walmart right now and you can pick up a PS4, and they've got the PS4 by itself, and then they've got the PS4 Uncharted edition that comes with Uncharted 4, and I think they have some other bundle that you could get as well. And it was the same thing when I bought my PS3, is that they had multiple bundles that I could get. One with the PlayStation Move controllers, one without, one with some games that I didn't care about, and so yeah, we had options. But yeah, if your only option is to get a forced bundle, then yeah, that sucks, and you shouldn't do that.
Talking to us if Yakuza Kiwami is good, I'm thinking about getting it. It's very good. It's a fine place in the series to start because it's a remake of the first game, but it uses a lot of the modern conventions of the series. Like, it doesn't take a minute to load every single fight like the original game did. Yeah, I would recommend. Also, it's only $30, so it's if you've never played one, that's a pretty great place to jump in. It's there is a prequel, but it's the first game in the series. It's $30. I think it's a good place to jump in if you haven't played any of the games. Really, the only game I would not recommend starting with is Dead Souls, the zombie spin-off game. It's a great game for the fans, but I would. If you're a fan, I would definitely play like 2 games first before trying the zombie game, because liking that game is very heavily dependent on you being a fan of the games and the location and the stories and the characters and stuff. It's not a bad game, but it is kind of dependent on being a fan of the series. So yeah, I would wholeheartedly recommend it. So moving on to our last topic for tonight. Hey, let's talk about Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle again. I don't think I've complained about that game enough in the last several weeks. So this time, Ubisoft announced an update for the game called Title 1, which kind of implies that there might be a Title 2 at some point. In and of itself, not a bad thing, but let's see. Overall, game stability, audio, UI, and localization have been improved. Okay, cool, whatever.
Okay.
So what
that's
else
the general.
Yeah.
The general.
That's usually we found a bug or an exploit that we fixed. The whole general stability and improvements for the end user experience. We don't want to tell you what exploit we found and fixed. So Title 1 update, what does it do? Okay, so gameplay. The skill tree reset is now free. I don't know what it cost in the first place, but
I assume it was something like, you had to get X number of gold coins in order to reset your skills or
Yeah,
whatever.
so if you go down a path you don't like, you can back out of it for free and go down a different upgrade path.
Yeah.
That's cool. Tactical
Yeah, and
cameras
that's
now.
something that is always good to have in a game, just in
Yeah.
general, because you know, because you don't know how you're going to play the game until you start playing, and the way you play the game might change based on your choices. And so, yeah, fixing that would be nice. And so, skill trees are always good, or being able to reset the skill tree is always good.
Tactical camera is now displaying deployable info card like it does for heroes, enemies, etc. All right. The boss's AI has been improved. Good. Some collision issues in exploration phase have been fixed. That one I'm fine with. We found a collision glitch. We fix that. Other minor gameplay glitches have been fixed. That's all well and good. Moving on to systems, you can now select supported languages when you launch the game for the first time. You can now select story mode in the supported languages via the main menu. You can now view the available additional contents in the main menu. Russian, traditional, simplified Chinese have been added to the supported languages. Would have been nice if all that was there in the first place, but great.
Yeah.
Graphics. Here's where I get a little iffy, though. Graphics. 2D weapon icons have been updated to fit with 3D model aspects. Not sure exactly what that means. Level of details have been improved in exploration phase. What level of detail is when a 3D object is far away, they'll a lot of times use a much lower detail model just for system resources. And as you get closer to it, they swap in the more highly detailed model. And if you look at something in the distance and walk toward it, you can see it pop into more and more detailed models. So this is improved level of detail. It says at the end of combat, the reward board is now in 3D, and feedbacks have been improved. And the technics preview has been improved during battles. And so far as cinematics goes, one scene has been added after completing the main adventure, and one scene has been added when the player reaches 100% completion save and return to Peach Castle. Okay, here's where I have a slight problem with this. Some of these things sound like they needed to delay the game another couple of weeks. Like they were just not quite where they needed to be to make release. And they're like, go gold, we'll just release this stuff in a Title 1 update, which came out a few days after the game did. Yeah. My problem with that is if I get the game on day 1 and take a day off of school or work or whatever and play the game for 2 days straight and beat the game, and then a title update comes out and it fixes the graphics and makes a lot of gameplay improvements and adds cinematic cutscenes in places, well, now I feel like I just spent $60 on an inferior product. And I almost feel obligated to play the game again just so I get the experience that I thought I paid for in the first place. I don't necessarily have a problem with using title updates to fix glitches that got missed, because no one's perfect. That happens. Yeah. But a lot of this just feels like stuff that should have been in the game in the first place. And it just makes me a much more cautious buyer, because the more the game industry does things like this, the less likely I am to buy games at launch. Now I'm like, okay, I want to play this game, but maybe I should wait a month just to see if they keep fixing the game. Because I don't want to buy the game, play through it, and then find out a week later that, oh, we've made the game better. So it's like, well, I already played it, so I paid full price for a lesser experience? That doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, and this is a big problem in the AAA industry, is that, they set a hard release date, and then they do everything they can up to that point and release it, and then they go master gold, a month or sometimes more before the release date, because they've got to manufacture everything and and ship it all. But so during that time, they're continuing working and on the game, and this is that's fine, I guess. It's okay in general, but a lot of times these updates that they release are things that should have been out with the game originally, and overall, the game as released can oftentimes be broken or incomplete, and then you have to go and download a whole bunch of stuff in order to complete the game that you just bought. And it can be very frustrating because there's times where you'll get a game that's on a dual layer Blu-ray disc, and then you have to download another 10 gigabytes worth of information in order to actually play the game on day one. And that's really stupid and really insane. But in this particular case, I think the thing that bugs me the most is the cinematics.
Yeah.
Okay. And these are cinematics that you get after completing the game. I don't know how long ago. I don't know if anybody's actually had the opportunity to beat the game before this update came out.
No, they haven't.
But yeah. But if I were to have bought this game day one and beat it, and then I find out, today that there's an update that came out that gave me an additional reward for beating the game, and now it's like, okay, do I have to play the game again in order to see these cutscenes, or can I
100% save and watch the cutscene?
Yeah, exactly. How do I access this? I've already beaten the game, and it's that to me is a very crappy thing to do to the people who bought your game, is to throw content into places where they probably already moved beyond that.
Yeah.
I'm sure with Mario's plus Rabbids is probably a game that could lend itself to some replayability just by default, but
not quite as much as something like XCOM. It's, from what I understand, it's a very linear game. It's you start at A and you go to Z, and that's that. XCOM is, you can just keep starting and playing that one beginning to end. It's a different thing every time because it's random. This is the same sequence of battles front to back.
Yeah, because I was thinking something like StarCraft, Warcraft, XCOM, where you can they've got the story missions, and then you can do some side missions and things on that are more random. But yeah, if it's pretty linear, it's like, do I really want to replay the game in order to watch these new scenes?
To be fair, I doubt you'd have to play the game again. You could probably just load up your old save and then watch.
Maybe
save that's right before the boss, beat the boss again, and then you'll see the new scene or whatever. Would be my guess.
Yeah, but even that would be kind of
really. What really bothers me is that feeling that so I paid $60 and what I experienced was a lesser version of the game. What I bought was not the full, complete, intended experience. Yeah. So I played a game with lesser boss AI. I played a game with lesser load management, level of detail management. I played a game missing a couple cutscenes. I played a game where I was stuck with the inconvenience of having to pay to reset my skill tree. That just makes me feel bad.
Yeah.
Now, for some games like fighting games, stuff like this usually works a lot better because it's like, oh, hey, let's pull the game off the shelf and go a couple rounds in Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter or whatever, and see how different it feels. Oh, hey, Wonder Woman feels great in Injustice 2 now, or feels more better. It seems for games that are meant to be. That kind of stuff, I don't feel works as well for one-and-done experiences, which I haven't played it yet, but I feel that Rabbids, Mario plus Rabbids is, you play it, you beat it, you're done. Whereas games like Street Fighter are games that you'll play for months, and a year later you'll pull it off the shelf. Stuff like Monster Hunter. I mean, if they did, that's a game that you can play for hundreds and hundreds of hours. And it's just, you go, you fight a monster, maybe do that, go on a couple of hunts, and you call it a day. If they come out and say, hey, we've improved the graphics, hey, great, let's do a few more hunts in prettier scenery. Or we've made Legiacris smarter. Great, let's go hunt a Legiacris and see what's new. You know, it's more exciting for games like that, but for a game that's a linear front-to-back experience, okay, I have played the game, I have finished the game, now it goes on my shelf. Oh, we've made the game better, we've fixed it. It feels like, oh, yeah, you had a lesser experience. And it's like, well, I didn't want the lesser experience, but if I knew the proper experience was only 4 days away, I would have waited, you know? Anyway, I mean, it's not a huge, it's not like day one updates or early days Title 1 updates are necessarily bad things in and of themselves. And you can say that about anything, like pre-orders.
Yeah.
In and of themselves, not necessarily a bad thing. Same thing with DLC. Same thing even with microtransactions. But the video game industry a lot of times gets greedy and takes what could be a good thing and makes it suck. Which is why I'm not excited for the new Yakuza game that was announced earlier this week, Shin Yakuza, which is apparently an online free-to-play game with microtransactions.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, no. And I'm a huge Yakuza fan, and I'm like, no interest in that. None. I mean, maybe it'll be great, but you say free-to-play online microtransaction, and I have completely lost interest. There's actually a part of me that's actively antagonistic towards those words. I'm like, oh, you're making me angry. But they did announce Yakuza Kiwami 2, a remake of the second game in the series, which is now the only one in the series the mainline series I haven't played. So hasn't been announced for the West yet, but it seems pretty likely.
Yeah,
so that's pretty great.
Released everything else.
Yeah, hopefully Sega releases Yakuza Ishin and Kaisan, which are the feudal Japan side story Yakuza games, which take place in like Edo era Japan or something like that. Yeah. So you're walking around in a kimono with your samurai swords and stuff. Oh, God, those games look so fun. Bring them here, Sega. I know it's a lot of localization work. I don't care. They look great.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Codename Z says, the strange update for me was in Mario Kart 8. I think it was 4.1, where it unlocked mirror mode by default. That's all the update. That's all the update. Just unlocks mirror mode without needing to beat all cups at 150cc. Well, that is kind of interesting. I mean, it depends on how. I mean, if they did, I guess it would depend on when they did something like that, because it's like, oh, I beat all the cups at the highest difficulty, and my reward was unlocking this mode, and the next day they say, you know what, it's unlocked for free by default. Like, I just wasted all this time. I mean, it's nice for people who wanted to play mirror mode but didn't want to beat every course at the highest highest difficulty. But yeah, that could be like, oh well. I mean, yeah, I agree that is an odd feeling one. It's a tricky balance. I'm not saying the industry has it easy with this stuff. It's like, well, we have the power to make this better, but will making this better piss people off? Will making this better make a lesser experience for a number of our customers? Hard to say.
Just in general, the introduction of online capabilities with game consoles can be a good thing, and it has been a good thing in a lot of areas. Whereas before, the PlayStation 2 era and back, games were pretty much one and done. You just had to wait till the sequel came out in order to play more of that game, if a sequel ever came out. Nowadays, we have the capability where as game developers, we can make a game, release that game, and then 6 months later release a content pack that adds, a dozen new levels or maps or
Mhm.
whatever for people to continue playing the game that they bought 6 months prior. We have that ability, and that is a good thing. But the games industry has, abused that capability in order to push up release dates, and so that they say, oh, we can, we know the game is broken, we know the game, you're not going to be able to play past level 3
Yeah.
in this game as it is now, but we can fix all that after we print it and ship it, and then just have a day one patch in order to fix the problems that we don't want to address today, because we don't want to push our October release date to January, because then we lose out on the holiday sales. And that, to me, is the downside to modern internet capable gaming.
Yeah, and to be fair to Ubisoft, this Title 1 update is free. It's not like they're charging
Yeah.
for it or anything. Codename Z says the Mario Kart 8 update came a bit after the last DLC pack. So thinking about that timing, I think the game came out in spring. The first DLC was like the following fall, and then the next DLC was like the following spring. So by that point, I would imagine most gamers, if they were going to unlock mirror mode, they would have unlocked mirror mode at that point. I mean, there were a few people who probably had picked it up that week, but that's probably a fine time. It's like, okay, if you haven't unlocked this after a year, you're probably never going to. So here you go, kids, enjoy. Yeah, that kind of works. The other thing I'd like to say is, as far as DLC goes, or charging for additional content, season pass DLC kind of stuff, if it's actually additional content, like new story stuff, new characters to play with, new places to play and explore and game in, that kind of additional content seems worthy of additional dollars. But quality of life improvements, like we've added a new difficulty mode, or we've added a fast travel system, or things like that, don't charge for that. And don't bundle it in with paid DLC because it feels scummy.
Exactly.
I'm actually thinking of the Breath of the Wild DLC. Most of that, and we still don't know what the meat of that thing is, the story content, they still have not told us what the hell that is. Most of the stuff in it is stuff that really does not feel like it should be paid DLC.
Yeah, like that map tracker where it shows the line of everywhere you've walked.
It's neat. That feels like something that you should update for free.
Yeah,
same thing with an additional difficulty mode.
Yeah,
and the travel medallion.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I like about indie games is that the indie game developers, they are very wary of.
They know which side their bread is buttered on.
Yeah, they're very wary about releasing paid updates. I don't know very many indie game developers that actually do paid updates. But Stardew Valley, for one, it came out and they've had several updates to it since, and every single one of the updates has been free, and they've all added a little bit of additional content to the game to make late game playing easier, and also to make things a little more interesting in the early game. And then and the next update, I don't remember when it's supposed to come out, I think it's October, is going to add multiplayer mode where you can play with friends and online, and so that will be interesting, and it's supposed to come out with it's come with other content updates as well, so it'll be interesting. And then and also a lot of indie games have good modding communities to help keep things alive. Stardew Valley is another game where there's tons and tons of mods available for it. But yeah, but you won't see a lot of you won't see much of that or I guess you do see some of that in the AAA industry, but they have a tendency to try to charge you for whatever they can get away with, more than releasing free stuff.
Yeah. Going back in the chat a bit, River asked, is anyone getting Fire Emblem Warriors? Not me. I played Hyrule Warriors and I loved it, but Fire Emblem Warriors just doesn't look good. It looks bad to me. Now, to be clear, I'm not a fan of Fire Emblem, so that might have a lot to do with it. I'd like to think that I like Hyrule Warriors because it's a great game, not just because it's skinned with one of my favorite franchises. Mm-hmm. I think if Hyrule Warriors had Fire Emblem characters in it, I still would have genuinely enjoyed the game. It not quite the same way, because I don't have an affinity for the Fire Emblem characters, but it was still a fun game. Fire Emblem Warriors just looks bad. I mean, it just visually, it doesn't look very good. It looks like it plays really stiffly. The enemies just, the way they warp in is just feels wrong. The animations are just stiff. It looks like a game that's nowhere near done yet. So yeah, I was actually kind of interested in it because I thought, well, maybe this will get me into Fire Emblem, because I was a fan of Hyrule Warriors, so maybe this will be a gateway into a new franchise for me. But everything I have seen of the game just looks bad, just from a fun-to-play perspective. Yeah. Also, I don't have a Switch, so there's one thing right there. But unless something radically changes about that game, that one's not on my to-buy list.
Yeah, I don't, I don't have any interest in Fire Emblem. The only Fire Emblem game that I've ever played is Fire Emblem Heroes on mobile, and that was only the tutorial stuff before it told me I needed to download over 300 megabytes of data to keep playing, and I said, screw you. And so I haven't played any Fire Emblem stuff, so I don't have any interest in getting Fire Emblem Warriors. And to be honest, I've never played a Warriors game before either. So it's something that I want to try, and there's plenty of opportunities for me to try, because older Warriors games are pretty dirt cheap, and on older consoles. So, or even on the PS3 and 360, you can get good deals on them. But I've just never taken the opportunity to pick one up and try it. So,
yeah, Hyrule Warriors is a lot of fun, especially if you like Zelda. Yeah. It's one of those just sit back and chill kind of games, because it's a great power fantasy, because you grab a character and you just mow down giant hordes of enemies and they go flying. It's just a ton of fun to play. And it's fairly simple. It can, some of the upper difficulties when you try and do like challenge maps and stuff, you have to sit forward and really pay attention to what you're doing. But they can be just a ton of fun to play. I'm also really interested in trying out Dragon Quest Warriors, or Dragon Quest Heroes is what it's called.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah, you're right, Codename Z. I'm still catalog. I was trying to think of what Codename said, that there's 4 Warriors games being made for the Switch at the same time, Fire Emblem Warriors being one of them. I was trying to remember what the other 3 were, which is funny because these were announced like within the last week. And I was trying to rack my brain. It's like, what were the other Koei Tecmo games? And I could not think of it. I didn't have my list in front of me. It's Dynasty Warriors 8, Warriors of Orochi Ultra, and Samurai Warriors Spirit of Sanada, which are ports of existing games. But there you go. So
So Shotgun says he hopes for Hyrule Warriors 2.
Yeah, I don't see why.
I'm sure you could get more stuff, but maybe just a Switch port with extra characters in it. But
well, I mean,
because they've already included pretty much every character in Zelda, apart from Breath of the Wild characters.
That's true. I mean, you could do a just port Hyrule Warriors Deluxe, and it just has all the Wii U content, all the DLC content, and all the 3DS content, and boom, you got a deluxe package. For Hyrule Warriors 2, you'd really want a new story, new locations, and yeah, sure, new characters, but they did have a lot of. I mean, you got Zelda, you got Link, you got Ganon, and I mean, they had Abigail, the bug girl from Twilight Princess, in there. So it's like, I mean, Saria wasn't in there from Ocarina of Time, so I guess you could get her. Or I was about to say Marion from Lon Lon Ranch, but I think she's actually a DLC character. So yeah, I mean, Hyrule
maybe
Warriors,
they could get Navi in as a playable character.
and you just, hey, listen, everybody. There no attacks. You just annoy everybody.
Hey, listen, and everybody
they start
flies
running
off the screen.
Yeah. All hail Linkle. Yeah, her name is Beverly. I decided that, you see, because Linkle's just a stupid name, so I've decided to rename her Beverly. All right, so that's our show for this week. Thank you, everyone, for. Well, Codename says, did you hear Fire Emblem Warriors will have 60 frames per second mode? How low are they going to have to drop the resolution to meet that? Because the footage I've seen has been kind of sketchy.
The field of view is going to be like 2 meters in front of you, and
oh man, the game just. I mean, hey, here's hoping, but that game's just not looking very good. Anyway, we're out of here. Thank you all for watching. Let's plug our stuff and get out. Andrew Eisen here. Eisen is how you spell the last name. Plug it into YouTube and watch my Star Wars video, please. If you're not interested in Star Wars, it's actually probably the Star Wars video you want to see, because it's about how to make Star Wars more interesting. Let's see. I also just did a thank you video, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's just thanking all of you for watching and enjoying my videos over the years. I really appreciate it, especially since I had the best YouTube ad revenue month last month I've ever had. So keep it up.
good.
Yeah. I'm
releasing multiple videos a week, so.
Well, I mean, my debut review videos are fairly, compared to scripted things, they're a lot quicker and easier to produce, but they don't have the biggest audience. 100, 150 views a piece, typically. Yeah. Occasionally, one of the titles catches on. I think like Kato the Right Answer at 800, 900 views, something like that. But honestly, 100 people being interested in a thing is more than good enough for me. Although it is weird that I have over 11,000 people subscribed to my YouTube channel and can barely get and can't get 5% of them to watch my work. But that's okay. Watch what you like. Yeah. You like my Segan likes the debut review videos. Glad to hear it. I actually have to edit a few of those this weekend. Also working on a Yakuza Kiwami video. I'm going to try and get that out tomorrow, but I really just want to play the game tonight. I don't want to work on a video, so we'll see what happens. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen. So there you go. Zachary, plug away.
All right. You can follow me at Easy Night on Twitter, and you can also check out my Patreon. It's Patreon.com/Easy Night. Just check that out. I'm going to be making a game a month, and nothing too flashy, too fancy. Something like a game jam game. Hopefully they're interesting. Hopefully I can come up with some cool creative ideas. But yeah, if you're interested in that, check that out. I'll be making one over the next week or so. And also, if you're interested in the Oklahoma game development scene, check out OK Game Devs on Twitter and okgamedev.com. And all this game development work that I do will also be on DK_gaming on Twitter and DivineKnightGaming.com. So check all that out.
All right. So you've been watching episode 64 of Molehill Mountain. Hope you enjoyed, and hope you come back to spend more time with us next week. See you then. Bye-bye.
Great. See ya.